Hey guys, it's Editor Trent here. I just wanted to do a quick warning. We are talking about sexual assault in this to a certain extent, as well as the treatment of women in media. Not super in depth, just enough that if that is triggering for some people, it's okay if you skip out on this one. It's not a huge part of it, but it is okay if you guys want to skip out on just that part. Hi, everybody.
Good evening.
Welcome back to Comic Book Report. I know this is not the episode we promised last time. It's because we didn't want to read Frank Miller's Batman Year 1. I guess we'll do quick thoughts on Year 1 just to satiate anybody, the two people who cared.
Yeah, literally, okay, so...
It was alright.
I only got, halfway through it.
Yeah, and you had a fucking hard time reading it.
Okay, well, the issue I have is just, on a, standpoint, it had its pluses. I like the kind of noir setting they have, but my issue is, I get it, the whole, Batman's Batman, but it was, over-the-top edgy with content that was just, uncomfortable that didn't really add to the story.
Uh-huh.
And then you have the whole idea that, Jim Gordon has, normal standard, comic text when he's talking or thinking anything, and then Bruce Wayne / Batman has, cursive, which is it's fine, and I don't want to sound like some
child
entitled Gen Zer, yeah, but as someone who can read and write cursive, why the fuck are you making a comic with cursive in it? It hurts my eyes to read. It's not like I can't. It's just it makes the pacing seem slower, because I have to take more time paying attention to it. It just because I get it. It's the motif of him being a rich boy.
Yeah.
Elite. I get it. But it's just, it's unnecessary. You could have just made his text a different color and called it a day.
Alright, so that is going to be the segue. We decided we still wanted to do something Batman-related. So instead of reading Frank Miller's Batman Year 1, we decided instead we were going to read Alan Moore's The Killing Joke.
Yeah, we did do that.
So I wanna let's do my little opening crawl about. This one might be a bit longer. I decided to do research this time, sort of going off of memory. So this was written by Alan Moore. I have in my notes here. Author is certified druid Alan Moore.
Yeah, he is in fact a certified druid.
He is a fucking crazy wizard. One of the articles I read literally opened with confirmed angry wizard Alan Moore.
He literally is a confirmed angry wizard. I know he'd be pondering that orb.
He's got to be pondering that orb. Anyways, basically, Alan Moore, he came up in, I believe, the 70s and 80s. He's done some really good stuff. He did League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, V for Vendetta. He did two fantastic Superman stories called Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow and For the Man Who Has Everything, which we will be reading those at some point. Just not any. I don't want to do too much Superman, so not anywhere in the near future. But the thing that he is biggest known for is Watchmen. He did seminal work, Watchmen.
Who watches the Watchmen?
Exactly. Who does watch the Watchmen?
Me.
But basically, yeah, he's a pretty good artist, pretty good writer. He's kind of the guy that everyone really likes, right? Pretty much everybody likes Alan Moore, who's cool. And anybody who doesn't like Alan Moore are cringe, right? He's, pretty well known to be very, super left-leaning, super, if you identify with Rorschach, please don't talk to me. Yeah. That's actually a quote of him being yeah, sometimes I meet people who identify with Rorschach, and they're like, that is my story. And he goes, cool, you look like you don't shower. Please don't stand near me.
Yeah, I could go on an hour about people that like Rorschach, but
we're
not doing Watchmen this episode.
We're gonna do the Watchmen episode eventually.
Yeah.
I am excited for the Watchmen episode when we eventually do that one, but we're not doing that anytime soon. So it was also illustrated by a man named Brian Boland with colors by John Higgins. So Brian Boland, I did some research, and it was kind of hard to find the stuff that he had worked on, but he did a lot of covers for DC, right?
Yeah.
He did some stuff, did some DC covers for Green Lantern. Yeah. But the thing that I found out that he's kind of known for is he did a lot of work on Judge Dredd. He did several issues of Judge Dredd. Which is pretty sick. That's another independent comic.
I mean, I could see that. I haven't read anything Judge Dredd, but when I am thinking of the way it's illustrated, I could see the similarities.
He isn't the illustrator for Judge Dredd, but he's done stuff for it.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I'm just saying I guess it's a similar style. I don't know, because The Killing Joke, reading it, I felt like it had a very unique art style to
yeah.
it. Yeah.
Okay, what else I have on here? Oh yeah, so this was released in 1988. It actually, so it famously provides an origin for the Joker, which is actually an adaptation of a 1951 Batman story called Under the Red Hood.
Yeah.
Which, basically the same thing, dude falls into a fucking vat, fucking Red Hood, that whole thing, right?
Yeah.
Which is interesting. One of my things about this, before you start talking about the comic itself, is, because we got a lot of stuff we want to talk about, we're going to talk about it later, especially when we get to the stuff involving Barbara Gordon, because I have a quote. But Alan Moore actually is not a big fan of this story.
Really?
Yeah, looking into it, that's probably one of the most well-known things for me personally, about Killing Joke, beyond like the origin story stuff, is his reevaluation of it. Here's the quote. Quote, "I never really liked my story in The Killing Joke. I think it put far too much melodramatic weight upon a character that was never designed to carry it. It was too nasty, it was too physically violent. There were some good things about it, but in terms of my writing, it's not one of my favorite pieces."
You know, I guess I can see his, like, you know, because, like, I'm not saying I dislike The Killing Joke.
I actually enjoyed it. If we're going to talk about thoughts, I actually thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, say I enjoyed it, but like I can kind of see where he's coming from because, okay, so is this the piece of material that makes it to where like why everyone makes the Joker's origin falling into a vat of acid?
Yes.
Okay, because that's what I was wondering if this was like the first time it had been done. Like
I'm getting a little squeaky chair.
I don't know, because like I get the whole point of like the comic, and I get like what it's going for. It's just it's like I don't know. It felt. Like, I agree with him, like, there's a lot of over-the-top violence. There is some aspects of I really like, and I do like the Joker's origin story. It's just, man, I don't know how to describe it.
I was explaining it to our friend, because before we recorded this, we had a little party at my apartment. But whenever my friend was driving me back here from work, I explained it to him, because he's a Batman fan, our friend Ray. He's a Batman fan. Way more than Superman, which I get it, but he's cringe. But, like, I was explaining to him that, like, as much as I enjoyed the story of The Killing Joke, I definitely feel like the artwork was what kept me going.
Yeah, I mean, I like the artwork. I don't think I am that big of a fan of the way they designed Joker to look.
I am the exact opposite. Really? I actually really like the Joker design. Well, let's go into initial thoughts before we start talking about exact stuff. So what was your thoughts about the story as a whole? Like, give me your book report.
I guess like. The only, and maybe it's just because like I'm not used to reading comics. Because okay, so here's the thing about me with reading, I read extremely quick.
Yeah, because like, didn't you read like several volumes of fucking Berserk in like
a few hours?
Yeah. We've been reading Berserk. We've both been trying to like read Berserk a little bit.
I am really ahead.
Yeah.
And like
we gotta do that Black Swordsman episode.
Yeah. Well, the thing is like years of coping with ADHD with like my brain. Because, like, you know how, like, a lot of people with ADHD, like, they struggle reading because, like, their brain processes faster than, like, their eyes are reading? Or, like,
yeah, I get that, too, where sometimes, do you ever have to reread lines over and over again?
Yeah.
Because I had to do that. There was one page in there, I think it was the singing section, or right before that, where I had to reread it because I wasn't quite understanding what he was saying.
Yeah, like... Do I have to do that sometimes? Like, yeah, but a lot of times, like, I've been able to cope with it into my adult life because I've just, how much reading I've had to do in my life. So, like, it allows me to read extraordinarily fast because my eyes, like, I could take, like, a few seconds at a page and immediately read it.
That was the best part of the last episode, was how quickly you were able to read it. How quickly you were able to read All-Star.
Yeah. Like, I can read relatively quick. It's just I need the motivation to read it.
Yeah, that makes sense. No, I actually really like it. I feel like Boland's art is really good at making the Joker expressive.
Yeah.
I feel like some of my best parts in it are whenever stuff like him being like, oh, I just want to show you what it's like, and instead of him smiling, it's him being like a very like depressed face. You know, like I really like the artistry of the Joker. Like, I think it's really good. I think like I said, as I was saying, like, I like the story overall, but sorry, we just ate, so like
yeah, I don't know. It's just like I like the story. As I said, like, with the way I read, since I read so fast, maybe I just feel like it was just weirdly paced a little.
Yeah.
And that might be just the way I read.
I will say this, having not indulged in Alan Moore's other works, I am confident in saying that this is probably going to be one of his weaker ones.
Yeah.
Because I really want to read his Superman stuff. He did a fantastic run on Swamp Thing I want to read.
And clearly we have to do Watchmen at some point.
Of course.
And I'm also not fully against V for Vendetta.
I like the doing V. We'll do Alan Moore. We'll do more Alan Moore stuff for sure. It's but I overall enjoyed the story. It's just I think the artwork is definitely the high point.
Yeah, I don't know. I overall like the artwork. I don't know. I enjoy the dive. I think ultimately, like, I don't know exactly what I expected, but I feel, and you might disagree with me on this, I feel like the ending was anticlimactic.
Okay, we'll talk about the ending in a bit.
Yeah, and I think that's like my overall thing with the story is that's all right, but I feel like for me personally, there was pacing issues, and there wasn't that big of a payoff for how much there was a build-up.
Okay, I will agree with you on that.
Which is what I mean when I say
anticlimactic. Because there's a lot of artistry in this I really like, and that is the opening of it being like the first like 3 pages are just like dialogueless.
Yeah.
Where it's the 8-panel layout. One of the comics that I plan on you and I reading in the near future, but not anytime soon, Mr. Miracle exclusively is that 8-panel layout.
Yeah.
Like for like the entire story, and I'm used to that because of Mr. Miracle. But I thought that was really cool that they used it in dialogue. I like how little of Batman we see most of the time. I like how in that start it's just him going. There's this really good panel where this is gonna be a lot of art gushing tonight, but like there's this really good panel of Two-Face, where his like halves are separated by the bars. I thought that was really good, and there's a part where right after that where there's one that's like it's like a POV shot of Dent of Two-Face looking back at Jim, because historically in the comics, from what I know, they've been good friends. Like especially in like not Killing Joke, Long Halloween, Harvey Dent and Jim Gordon are like friends.
Yeah.
Before he becomes Two-Face, so there's that. We gotta read fucking Long Halloween. That one's really good apparently. Anyways, sorry, I'm just thinking of better Batman stories to read.
Yeah, real. I don't know, for a Batman comic, it was very Joker focused, and like I'm not against that, and I get that like Joker is kind of a fan. Batman in general is kind of like the casual fan favorite.
Yeah, I feel like more people are going to be like, Batman. That's why I feel like weird being the Superman fan on the playground all the time.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've just always been like, I don't know, Batman's one of those characters that I feel like works the best when it's himself cinematically. Because I feel like Batman as a character is just super weak when I see things like, with like the Justice League movie and stuff like that. Like,
where he's a pretty weak player in it.
Yeah, because the idea is that like Batman in Gotham is like great, and the villains in Gotham are great, but like, what's Bro gonna do against General Zod?
Exactly. I've always preferred his place on the Justice League as like a strategist first and foremost.
Yeah,
because like that's fine. Like I'm not a big fan of like bat wanking, so like I understand where you're coming from. But, like, I actually really like the Joker focus because... So, here's the deal. Here's a hot take. I don't really like the Joker that much.
Yeah.
I actually think that overall Batman has considerably better villains. I think Scarecrow's a better villain. I think Bane's a better villain. I think Mr. Freeze is my favorite Batman villain, so obviously I'm biased towards that. I think that he just in general has better villains.
Yeah.
But it's always placed on the Joker, right?
Yeah. I mean, so here's the thing. It's like, I like the Joker, but the issue I have, like, I guess, like, Batman fandom as a whole is that, like, people are too focused on, like, the edgy, dark aesthetic, which is, like, fine, but, like, the whole reason of literature is to get something across. Like, obviously, you can make art for the sake of, like, art, with no, like, meaning behind it, but I feel like a lot of people only care about, like, what they're visually digesting or like the aesthetic they're digesting than actually like the morale of it. And that's the issue, is because a lot of Batman fandom has pushed Joker into like this like character that just is like an agent of anarchy when like that should not be the case. Like in this instance, that's not the case. He's not an agent of chaos. It's like he's a troubled man
who's trying to send a message.
Yeah, well, he's trying to get back. Like, it's mostly him trying to get back on the Batman because of his origin. Like, it makes sense versus like, I don't know, like everyone else is just like, oh, he's just sick and twisted, and it's like, yeah, I get him being severely mentally ill is in his mental, but
Yeah.
like so is every other Gotham villain.
Like, pretty much most Batman villains, and this is a historic thing, there's this really good video to minorly detour called Arkham Asylum is Over, it's by a guy named Micah Edmonds. It's like 3 hours long. And he talks about how the use of mental health is quite troubling whenever it comes to Batman villains, where they characterize stuff like dissociative identity disorder or OCD with the characters, and Joker's kind of the forefront of that because he's never been officially diagnosed with anything.
Yeah.
It's been a plot point in many things that he isn't diagnosed with anything, but like it's kind of a troubling take with the use of mental health for Batman villains, and I feel like Joker is the biggest issue with that because he's always been a caricature of a crazy person.
Yeah, because there is no like digestible way of doing it. He does things with like no morale and this and that, which is why I think, in my opinion, this is like one of the better Joker takes.
Yes,
because at least his origin story gives him like a
reasoning.
motive.
Yeah, because like I don't. The reason why Mr. Freeze is my favorite Batman villain is because he kind of has a motive to be the way he is.
Yeah.
Even if he is misguided, right? The problem with the Joker is that he just kind of is. And I know, like, Joker fans are probably going to sit here and fucking scream and cry and piss. But, like, the Joker is still cool.
Yeah.
But what is he beyond that?
Yeah.
In my opinion. Because I understand there's a lot more philosophically to the Joker than just, oh, clown.
Yeah, but like a lot of times there like literally isn't. Like
Yeah.
Like, not to derail, but another piece of media like, okay, and this is going to be such a hot take, but like I don't think that Heath Ledger's Joker is that well written. Like, there you can sit here and deep
it kind of
dive.
carries on the performance.
Yeah, it carries on the performance. I'm not saying Heath Ledger's bad at itself. It is a very iconic Joker role.
The character itself.
Yeah, he played the character well. But the character itself, like, people have been deep diving for years and stretching to make things like, oh, Joker's not actually an agent of chaos. Everything he does is with reasoning, which I get it. That's probably true because the third movie was supposed to also be the Joker. But, like, if you look at what happens, like, most of it just happens because he wants to happen. Like, it doesn't show a single motive on why he hates Batman. He just does shit to do it. And the movie ends where he, is expecting people to kill other people, and it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Like,
which, keep in mind, in that movie, it's a very powerful part of the movie.
Yeah, it's a powerful part of the movie. I would argue that kind of translates into this piece of work, too.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
Because, go on ahead and finish.
Well, yeah, that's just my thing. And, like, I know every time I bring that up, people, like, hate it. But, like, it's just, like, that's the type of Joker I dislike. Is, like, it's just, he's an agent
the one
of
that
chaos.
Pretends to be
like
doing
this,
more.
Yeah, this, like, deep...
Because
like,
this Joker
person.
at least has some kind of deepness to him. He's still very much like, oh, I'm doing this for a reason. It's the whole one bad day narrative.
I would argue cinematically the best well-written Joker was probably Jack Nicholson's.
Yeah, really interesting.
Yeah.
I really like the focus on this comic on the relationship between Batman and Joker. Because it opens, the first dialogue we get is him talking to who he thinks is the Joker, where he's like, I've been thinking a lot about us.
Yeah.
We're gonna kill each other, right?
Okay.
Yeah, I know. Fucking. My first thought about that is like, oh no, they're going on a date.
They're getting married. I've been thinking a lot about us. Okay, like.
Yeah, no, but like its focus on like their relationship, I think, is really interesting because a lot of it is very much like, oh, we're gonna kill each other, aren't we?
Yeah.
I like that Batman kind of sees it as a foregone conclusion, the idea that they're in this death spiral together, which is really cool. I really like that, the idea that these two characters are like stuck in this like loop.
Yeah, like he's acknowledging that like every time the Joker gets out, it's just worse and worse.
Because the thing is that it's not going to stop until one of them snaps and decides to kill the other. Like, in fact, I think I remember he says in that scene before he like grabs the fake Joker's hands, he's like, I fucking put you in here. You break out, you kill people. I put you back, you break out.
Yeah.
This can only end one way.
Yeah, see, and that's what I kind of like about this iteration of Batman, because, like, I'm the stereotypical person that's, like, I get his whole, like, not to kill, just like I understand Superman's not to kill. But
Superman's reasoning not to kill, in my opinion, is a lot more understandable than Batman's.
Yeah, well, because, like, it also, I feel like Superman just has, like, better way of dealing with things, because Batman takes these, like, mass murderers, puts them in an asylum that has, like, yeah, sure, is it the best security in Gotham? Yeah, but gets broken out of, like, every other Tuesday. And they just kill again, and it's like, these people, like, how has the court not, like, given them state capital punishment?
Exactly.
Like, you know what I mean? And, like, that's the thing that bothers me, because it's like, I understand if Batman doesn't kill, but it's like, who's letting the Joker just keep going back? Like, Saul Goodman's representing the Joker?
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand what's happening. So, like, I at least enjoy that the Batman's acknowledging that he might be forced to kill the Joker.
Yeah, I feel
because
like...
I hate the idea of a Batman that's like, I can never kill the Joker because it goes against my code.
Yeah, because I feel like one of the most important parts of a Batman story is to identify why he does not kill, right? Because for some stuff, it's, it'd be too easy. For other stuff, it's like he has his own philosophical reasons. Sometimes it's character motivated. Like, I'll be honest, I'm pro no killing, if we're gonna be totally honest. But, like, I like that he acknowledges the idea that they're in a death spiral, because one of my biggest issues with some Batman stuff is that he seems very unself-aware.
Yeah, I mean, I have a bunch of critiques on Batman as a character.
Do you want to get them out today?
I mean, I can think about today, but I want to
fucking Batman story?
I want to focus on us getting through the comics before I start rambling on about
your issues with
comic characters. Yeah.
That's fair. That's fair. Because, well, that being said, we did have a long time fucking around talking about Superman in the last one. But to be fair, and I don't want to make it sound like we hate Batman, but, like, the two of us were unabashed Superman fans.
Yeah, well, like, okay, here's the thing. Is, like, I don't hate Batman. I can't think of a superhero I necessarily hate.
Yeah.
Because I think it's different. Batman is its own thing. And before I ramble on too long with Batman and we can go, like, back, it's just, like, Batman as a media, in my opinion, should be strictly something that's done to do philosophy on certain characters in situations, or it should be like a detective noir style.
Yeah, like my roommate, who is a Batman fan, has said multiple times that his preferred Batman stories are the ones where it focuses on his aspects as a detective.
He's a world-greatest detective in a noir area where, in my opinion, he's fighting people who are horrors that are misunderstood.
Exactly.
That's how I see it. And that's why I think, like, The Batman did so well a few years back, because it was a noir film where they made the Riddler into a modern adaptation, which I absolutely enjoyed that.
It's honestly one of the best takes of the Riddler I've ever seen.
It's one of the best take characters of a Gotham villain in general, in my opinion, because it's like, the Riddler was always kind of like a laughable, super, like...
He was a weird, hokey 60s villain. That was his thing.
And, like, they made
Is
him
he
into
fun
a
as a weird, hokey 60s villain? Yeah. But also then making him more of a poignant, like serial killer type with his
like
own QAnon, like,
yeah.
He's like a Boogaloo Boys type, like, murderer.
I did not know I needed the Riddler like that until I saw
and I feel like if we had a Joker adaptation like that was a lot more real world understanding, I think it'd be interesting. But like,
we don't.
So back to the Killing Joke. The focus on the Joker is interesting, right? Because one of my favorite aspects about the art is that often what Brian Boland will do, what was the name? John Higgins, I think, was the name of the. One of the things I really like is how Brian Boland will do this thing where, and I know a lot of it's due to the scripting, but like it'll be like the Joker will be looking at something and it flashbacks to that black and white, right? And I think that's really sick. There's a part towards the end where it's him looking, where it's like a panel of the rain, and then the next page is the black and white rain with like the red hood in the reflection, right? I think is what it is. I might be wrong, but like I think that's really sick. That's really useful. The first time that they do it is really cool because it's him holding his hand out like forward to shake someone's hand, and then the next page, the next panel is Joker looking like reflectively in a mirror with his hand like this. And I always find that interesting because the reflection isn't smiling. I think that's one of my favorite aspects of the design of the Joker in this, is that he's not smiling the whole time. Is that it's very much he has his somber little moments, which I think is interesting because it takes a lot to characterize a character who, as cool as he is, I again am not a massive fan of. But like the flashbacks with the use of the flash of red, it evokes this idea of like it's a memory, right?
Yeah.
We don't remember our memories well. It's kind of like how if we were to see this for Batman, the most color we would see would maybe be like the light of like the theater or the flash of the gunshot, right?
Yeah.
Or like the pearls, you know? But like for this, it's shit like how like red is so like evocatively used because it makes sense. Red would be the color that like enters that like he thinks of first and foremost, right? Because it was a red hood I like the smell of the shrimp that they put in his mouth, and then just the bright red hood, bright red mask that they want him to wear.
Yeah, no, like
fantastic. And that part in the flashbacks, the last one where it's still black and white and he takes the hood off and we get our first flash of green in his hair.
Yeah.
Which I thought was really cool, and that iconic image of him holding his hands like on his head and like laughing. Just fantastic artwork, right?
Yeah. No, the artwork is good. And like I don't know, there's like a lot of moments in there that like I'm glad that they didn't do the stereotypical take it to Joker. So, like, after we have, like, the scene, because I'm trying to make it a lot linear of us going through. So, we get the scene where we find the fake Joker, and Batman's freaking out because he didn't admit his love to the right lover. And,
he's like, shit, what if he tells?
Yeah, stop!
What if he tells the other people at Arkham?
Well, it's just like, I don't know, Batman, like, I like the characterization of both these characters in these, because Batman, I don't know, like, if it might be different for you, but like something about the way Batman's portraying this just doesn't feel like Batman, and I think it's just because I'm used to like this like cold, melancholy Batman.
Yeah, this is a very emotive, interesting Batman who's just like, I don't know what I'm doing wrong.
Yeah, no, this Batman is like very like I guess like emotional because he comes and he's trying to have like this deep talk with Joker of like I don't want to kill you, and then he finds out it's a fake Joker and he starts panicking. Yeah, I've never seen Batman fucking panic.
It's like, and I know we keep joking about the like. It's like a relationship.
Yeah,
like it's like a relationship between two lovers who hate each other but love each other, right?
Well, I think that's why you have like that stereotypical like later down the road where it's like the Joker can't exist without the Batman.
Yeah,
which like I was never the biggest fan of that story.
Like you can do it well, but it's usually shit.
Yeah, like you could do it well. It's just the issue is like
the best film that did that was the Lego Batman movie.
Yeah. But they did it in, like, a comedic sense. Well, it's just, like, what is the motive? Why would Joker need the Batman? And, like, I get it. Like, the whole idea, like, there's the Mark Hamill where he's like, there's no punchline in the joke of crime without Batman. But it's like...
Show yourself, Mark.
Yeah, shut up. Like, I love Mark Hamill, but it's just
the script, that type of scripting thing is in...
Yeah.
God, Mark Hamill's such a good Joker.
My thing is, like, even with this being kind of, like, a mid, like I guess, like, take in a story, this has ultimately probably been, like, one of the better Batman stories. Because it's, like, you have that. You have him panicking. And then you cut to the Joker looking over the carnival. And that's when you start getting, like, the flashbacks. Because with him talking about, like, the dude being like, oh, you're going to love this carnival that, like, was ran down and blah, 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 blah. It shots to, like, how he was trying to become a stand-up comedian.
Yeah.
With his, like, wife who was pregnant.
Yeah.
And, like, all this, and then eventually, like, yeah, it turns out that the dude that he was talking to, he ends up killing.
Which, oh god, that panel, did that startle you?
It did kind of startle me.
Yeah, that shit, I had seen that page before, but when it's just, like, the hard cut to just the dude, like, sitting there, I'm like...
Yeah, with, like, a forced smile on,
well, it's insane because, again, the artwork is just so... It's so detailed.
Well, like, my thing is, like, I like that it wasn't just Joker randomly killing guy because he killed him. After he killed him, he was just like, oh yeah, by the way, my boys already talked with your partner and already struck a deal. I don't need you.
I don't need you. Yeah.
Like it wasn't like, oh, there's the Joker being a non-motive mass killer.
It felt poignant. It felt like he wanted a tour.
Yeah, and on top of it, yeah, he wanted a tour. He wanted something to relive because this Joker's actually motivated.
I know this is insane. I love a motivated, emotive Joker as opposed to just the agent of chaos.
Yeah, like it's a motivated Joker, and then on top of it, it was a nice device to like move the plot forward, try to get flashbacks, and explain the setting of the carnival that they go down.
Because the carnival doesn't really have anything to do with the Joker pre transformation, but it's interesting how he sees it, right?
Yeah. Because like he wasn't like he was a carnival man. He was literally
He was just a stand-up comedian. He even said he used to be a lab assistant.
Yeah, he was a lab assistant, and then he quit being a lab assistant because all of his friends told him he was a really funny man. And so he quit his day job.
What's that one friend of Joe Rogan who he told him to stop being a fighter so he could be a comedian, and then he was like,
I don't remember his name.
It's Brian something, but he's like, yeah, you're really funny. And then like 3 years later, Joe Rogan was like, yeah, man, I really shouldn't have told you to be a comedian.
Yeah, literally. Like,
Yeah.
it's the same setup, but like,
Yeah.
yeah, no, and it's like it's very interesting because it's like it was a man who quit a well-paying job
To follow his dream,
follow his passion. It didn't work out. It makes me really reminiscent of like the Joker movie.
Yeah, I never watched the Joker movie.
What?
No, I never did.
That's insane. It's like arguably probably the best cinematic Joker.
Yeah, we will have to watch it sometimes for like a special episode or something. I don't know. I think what I like about that first flashback for sure, to get us back in like more of a linear fashion, is that first flashback I like because we get to see that he was always kind of off.
Yeah.
Because he snaps at his wife and he's like you're laughing at me, and he's like, oh god, oh shit, I'm so sorry. Like I like that. I like
the flashback Joker just seemed like a very what's the word? It was like an anxious, fickle man that was crumbling under stress.
Yeah.
Is what it seems like, which I like that as like a breaking point kind of deal. That it just
because that's also the whole plot of the idea of like one bad day, right?
Yeah. It's the one bad day. It's what makes him so mentally ill is that he just had so much stress that this is like, because it's kind of like a rocky, like not rocky road, a slippery road kind of scenario.
Yeah.
He had so much stress that it like cracked him to the worst it could.
Yeah, to where he's asking for mafia handouts, basically.
Yeah.
Which, shit,
Yeah.
like,
and he's about to rob his old at like lab
his old work,
yeah,
right? Which he did, which as far as we know, did nothing wrong to him.
Yeah.
He chose to quit, like.
Yeah, he's robbing it under the guise of what, Red Hood?
Yeah, Red Hood.
See, we're jumping too forward in the flashbacks because after.
Well, because I feel like the flashbacks are central to the plot that it's hard not to jump back and forth.
Yeah, that is true. They are very essential. But after you have the whole like him doing the carnival thing, it cuts to Gordo.
Yeah.
And
Barbara, which is definitely one of the things I did want to talk about. If you guys didn't heed the content warning, I plan on putting a content warning at the start of the episode about like conversations about sexual assault. This is kind of a second warning to.
Yeah.
If you guys want to skip, I will. I'll put a timestamp in editing, or at least I'll try to, where we stop talking about the whole Barbara situation.
Yeah.
Because after the first flashback, it's Jim, Gordon, and Barbara talking, and he shows up, shoots Barbara, cripples her, right, and kidnaps Gordon, and then there's the whole thing. And you and I were talking about this, and my thing is that it is, for me personally, it's implied sexual assault.
Yeah, I mean, like, I understand, like, I'm not saying it's, like, a reach to say that.
Uh-huh.
It's just, like, when I read it, how I interpreted of it is that after he shot her, he, like, declothed her and took these photos. Not that, like, he had done anything, which I guess that is inherently sexual in itself. But, like, I don't know, to me, I don't think he necessarily assaulted Barbara, but I don't think, my thing is like, I don't think it, like, worsens or adds the story depending on whether he did or not, Like, that's not the importancy of it. Like, because the whole idea is that Barbara shot. Barbara gets crippled. You cut to Batman at the hospital.
With her.
Yeah, with her, being like, what the fuck happened?
And she's, like freaking out whenever she wakes up, and she's like, Bruce, you didn't see his eyes, that kind of thing.
Yeah, like, because what I really like is how fast it happens, because it's literally, like, I remember reading it, and then after she got shot, I was like, huh?
Well, yeah, no, she got shot, and I was like, what the fuck's going on?
Yeah, I had a very much what's
it
going
was
on
actually, despite me knowing ahead of time that was going to happen, it was actually still, whenever it does happen, quite surprising.
Well, because the thing is that the dialogue right before it happened, she started talking about how she's been having bad dreams about, like, the Joker, and, like, so, like, when it happened, I was like, is this, like, a forecast into her dreams? But no, it's just, it happened so quickly that, like, it,
So, I did want to talk a little bit more about Barbara, because I feel like one of the things that I believe that Alan Moore is not a big fan of is his use of Barbara. Barbara Gordon is very much a prop character in this. She's not a character. She did not
have substance.
She didn't have substance, which sucks. I mean, I get it. It was a one-shot comic, like, but also, like, they very much used her. Here's the quote. Just they very much used her as an ends to a mean. Here's the quote. He years later had reevaluated kind of his like use of handicapping Barbara. Quote, I asked DC if they had any problem with me crippling Barbara Gordon, who was Batgirl at the time. And if I remember, I spoke to Len Wein, who was the editor on our project. He said, yeah, okay, cripple the bitch. Damn. It was probably one of the areas where they should have reined me in, but they didn't.
Yeah.
So it's insane that Alan Moore, even afterwards, is like, I don't know if I really should have done this, right? Because honestly, in my opinion, that is the big stamp of the thing that I feel like would... like get someone not to read this is the prop use of Barbara Gordon.
She's always been like one of like the cornerstone characters.
She has ever since her introduction, way back in the 40s and 50s. She has been a very important character. Fucking not Barbara Gordon necessarily, but Batgirl in general has always been an important character. Barbara Gordon especially, she has been Batgirl. She has been the Batgirl. Whenever you think of Batgirl, first and foremost, you think of Barbara Gordon.
Yeah.
You don't think of Cassandra Cain. You don't think of the girl whose name I'm forgetting, Stephanie Miller, who is spoiler in the comics. You think of Barbara Gordon, right? And I just don't know. Yeah, you're right though. She's a cornerstone character. I'm really blanking on what I'm trying to say.
It's an important character who is just there
as a plot device.
It's like as if you made a Superman story where Jimmy Olsen was only there to have nude photos and get handicapped.
Yeah, it's like if the only reason why Jimmy Olsen was in the comic was so you could cut his leg off.
Yeah, exactly.
Like cornerstone characters, and I understand. Because Alan Moore is the kind of guy, from what I can tell, to be the kind of guy to be like, yeah, I did handle that wrong, right? He handled that character poorly. And I feel like that's one of my biggest issues is they treat Barbara Gordon kind of like a prop. She's kind of like implied to be assaulted. They use her body in a way that is very, very, like, uncomfortable.
Yeah, they do it in a very uncomfortable sense, which like makes sense for the plot.
Yeah,
but like the thing
it still could have been something else. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah, it still feels like a prop thing because even though the issue is that the Joker's using Barbara as an object, that doesn't it still reinforces the idea that throughout the story Barbara is just an object. It was something
because
for
she doesn't
Joker to obtain to forward his idea.
Because she doesn't have agency in this story.
Yeah,
her connections are entirely to Commissioner Gordon as her father, Bruce as her mentor and friend, Joker as the man who shot her.
This story does not pass the Bechdel test.
It does not pass the... You mean the Bechdel test?
Yeah, Bechdel.
It does not pass the Bechdel. That's actually not the Bechdel test.
Huh?
The Bechdel test is... I don't know if I should cut this out, but I'm going to say it anyways. The Bechdel test is you put two women in a room and you see how long it takes for one of them to talk about a man.
Oh, yeah. Now cut this whole thing out because it just makes me look stupid.
It does make you look stupid. No, like, I feel like this is one of those aspects that I can understand someone like Alan Moore being like, I'm not a big fan of my portrayal of this. Because if I had written this, I would, as like a writer.
Yeah.
And then I looked it down the line, I'd be like, yeah, that's not great.
I feel like ultimately, and like it would have been a longer story, I think the best way that they should have done this is like, I'm not against them handicapping
a character
Barbara, but I think how it really should have been done if we wanted to give Barbara justice is that we took like the implied sexual assault / the photos out, and the idea is that he shoots Barbara to get into the head of Gordo, and then from there we have a like hurt and down Barbara that helps Batman find her father.
Exactly.
Like that's
I feel like
how
it
you
would be a
fix
lot
that
more.
issue.
Is that I feel like the issue is that Barbara is not there as a character in the story. She's there as a plot device, which is
because even if you don't have Barbara as Batgirl, there's tons of stories where Barbara's at least helping.
Yeah,
like you have
her time as Oracle.
Yeah, Oracle. Like literally. I mean, I don't know any comics off the top of my head, but I know that she Batman was. Games.
I know that she was Oracle while Damian Wayne was Robin.
So you get to the scene where they're talking in the hospital with Barbara.
Yeah.
Batman's talking, and then it cuts back to the closeout carnival, and this is the first time we see Joker's goons. And
which I think it's a really cool idea that like the goons are kind of based off of like
the stereotypical freak shows.
Yeah, carnies.
Yeah, the carny freak shows.
I'm gonna get a drink of water. You continue talking.
Yeah, real. So you have like the carnies who they're like stereotypical like freak show blah 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 blah, which I think it's very interesting like this contrast because like how we talked about earlier. The flashbacks don't make the Joker inherently involved with the carnival. Like, it's not like he was a carny or anything. He was just a stand-up man. So I like the idea of like, because there's the whole idea of like the moral implications of carnivals, like at least in the past, like the idea of like the stereotypical like early 1900 carny, where it's not about like it's a spectacle where the entire thing is making fun of the
It's very
form.
much come look at these fucking freaks. Look
Yeah,
at this. Look at the
freaks,
tiny person. Look at the one arm. Look at
Yeah.
the gasp bearded woman.
Yeah, look at the conjoined twin.
Look at the fat ass.
Yeah, like that kind of stuff.
Which reminds me, when are you going to go start your job at the carnival?
Oh, soon. I'm needing the money. But like it's that kind of thing, because I think it kind of reflects the whole idea that like he was wanting to do stand up and be this honest man and start a family, but he eventually got broken and he went from like
he went from the comedian before the carnival opens to just one of the clowns.
Yeah, exactly. I find that very interesting because like I was like I always understood the idea of making carnival aesthetic with Joker because like he's a
clown. It makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense. It's just it's like I was never the biggest like I guess fan of that aesthetic, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. But I do kind of like this illustration. It reminds me like it does the carny aesthetic right.
It does.
Not to sound like an edgy Midwesterner, but if I'm gonna see like a carny aesthetic, I want something that's like if it's horror involved, I want to see something like Insane Clown Posse aesthetic. And this gave me a lot of ICP aesthetic in my opinion. Like before ICP was even a thing. But like, yeah, no, it. So we get to the freak shows. Yeah,
the freak shows. The barber Gordon, the little people make him strip.
Yeah, they make him strip, and we see a naked Gordo in a cage.
In like a cage. They make him do the ride.
Well, before the ride, I think that's when they cut to the cutscene of them planning out the Red Hood.
Yes, yeah, where the
heist.
Yeah, because it's him talking, and it's the flashback where they're like, yeah, so I wanted to be I was like, I started as a lab assistant, it paid good, but I decided to be a comedian, but nobody laughs.
Yeah, and they're in like that sleazy bar.
Like diner where where mobsters and fedoras would hang out. You know?
And they start talking about like, oh, the Red Hood heist, and they start talking about how it's like they've been the ones pulling it off, and we have a Red Hood to put on. We just need to rob this place.
Mm-hmm. I think one of my best parts about stuff like that is the use of perspective.
Yeah.
Because I can't remember if it's that flashback or the next one, but I want to talk about it now, where it's the multiple first-person shots of both Batman and Joker, where you get to see their hands, right? It's very Steve Ditko-esque, who was pretty famous for drawing like hands in like his scenes to increase the emotion.
Yeah.
But like, I really like how for Batman, we see like a first-person shot in this first bit of like his hands like crunching down like this while he's talking, or kind of like how like the Joker's like nervous fidgeting in the flashbacks, right?
Yeah.
I think they're really sick flashbacks, and I feel like they really add to the emotion, especially as a flashback. You know?
Yeah. And I think like the middle of this comic is like when like things like were probably the best in its story, because like you get
for sure,
because you get the flashbacks of the sleazy bar, you get all this, and they're talking about the heist, and then a hard cuts back to the present, where it's Gordo naked in the cage, and he's like, all right, time to ride my ride. And then he throws him on there, and you learn that his entire plan was trying to make Jim Gordon, the cop he can never escape because of Batman, trying to drive him mad by seeing photos of his unconscious daughter.
Yeah, and like I don't remember a lot of the speech because I hastily read this because I had like a couple days to read it after you did. Because this is the second time now that you've quickly read something that we had been planning for weeks, and I had to backpedal my way back to fucking reading it. I really like how he's like, well, you know what? Why don't you just, if it's too much for you, just go crazy.
Yeah.
If it's too much for you, just break down. Just break down.
Yeah.
Stop listening. You don't got to worry about politics or due process if you just are the one that's giggling in the corner.
Yeah. Exactly.
And I think it's really interesting because a lot of times in this comic is that very much it's the idea of the Joker wants to impose his philosophy onto others because he sees it as genuinely helpful to him.
Yeah. And then
because Joker is doing Joker, he had a glow up.
And then we're getting all this build up, and then we finally get to the last flashback from Joker,
where he actually puts on the hood.
Yeah, he puts on the hood, he sees it, and then right before the heist, the police come to him in the bar, And I don't know about you, but when I first read it, it felt like as if the police were catching on that he was going to do this heist.
Yeah, no, that's what I thought too.
Yeah.
I was like, are they going to catch him?
Yeah,
I would say,
but then he comes in and they say that his wife is dead.
Yeah.
And so he lost his child and his wife due to like a 1 in a million accident.
Yeah.
And he starts breaking down, but he's already entitled with this heist with the mafia.
And these mobsters are like, what are you doing, man? Tonight.
Yeah.
Tonight.
Yeah. Like, he wants to back out. He's like, I don't have a reason to do this anymore. My family's
The people
dead.
that I care about that would make me want to do this are gone. And they're like, you already said yes.
Yeah. And so he gets in, does the Red Hood heist. He goes in there. There is security, and Batman's there.
Yeah, which is insane, because they blame him, because, like, the security, they're like, you didn't say anything about security. You're fucking duping us. He's like, well, it wasn't there last time.
Yeah. Like, he legitimately did not know there was going to be security.
Mm-hmm.
Batman comes in. He's like, Red Hood, time to defeat you. And he falls into the vat of acid, washes up, and then you have, like, the iconic, like, Joker.
Like, slow
laughing.
burst, just again, hands on the head, curled up hair, just, like, laughing and crying shit.
But then it cuts to the present day where it's, like, the best part of Batman, where they have it to where it's...
He's looking.
Yeah, it's like these hard cut scenes of him getting to the carnival where they reiterate the text from the beginning about him not wanting to kill Joker while he's like rushing and ready to like beat his ass.
I think one of my favorite...
Because he has stepped across the line.
Yeah, he's He's kidnapped one of his close friends. He's crippled a woman that he has been a mentor to. I think one of my favorite aspects about that is that it's implied that it's going on while Gordo's going through the... I like how we keep calling him Gordo.
I like calling him
It's
Gordo.
funny calling him Gordo. That's a fucking NES villain. Fucking, because it's implied. I think one of my favorite aspects while they're doing him doing, like, his detective work, have you fucking seen him? Where have you seen this person? Right, it keeps each panel subsequation, so each row of panels starts with another door in the funhouse, like, being open.
Yeah.
While Jim is on there, and it's like a first person shot of Jim gripping onto the bars with the doors opening, and I think that's really sick, because like, you know, the whole deal is that like it's a race against time. It's a really good way to evacuate like it being a race against time.
Yeah. And it ends with him finally getting to the carnival. He cuts through. He gets Gordo. Because Gordo just finished the ride. And somehow Gordo's...
And as my good friend Little Yachty once said, don't ask no questions on the ride.
Yeah. And we get to a point where Gordon's like, oh my god, like, this was horrible. We need justice, but he's like, bring him back alive. Which is to, like, show that Gordon still
because it feels like morale. In this sense that even though he's been deeply hurt, I don't know if it's that he knew that Batman was, like, kind of unhinged at the moment, but again, he was, like, by the book, alive. And I think one of my favorite aspects about this whole scenario is that, again, Joker's whole thing is that he's like, I just want you to see the world I do.
Yeah.
I'm so much happier like this.
Yeah.
I just want you to see it like this, and I want to see good old Gordo also like that, right?
Yeah.
And then it's just, what I think is interesting is that he fails.
Yeah.
He fails.
He fails, and then Batman comes in, he starts fighting Joker, and he does the stereotypical thing that I think is always funny whenever, like, Batman fights the Joker, where he's like, not funny, didn't laugh.
Yeah. That whole, like, stuff in the funhouse is so cool, because we basically only ever see it from Joker's perspective up until that very end. Yeah. Right? Where it's just like, he's like, oh, I know you. Sometimes, you know, I know it one way. You know it this way. You know.
Yeah.
I just wanted to bring down your facade.
Yeah.
Right? I might need to pull up the comic so I can read what he actually said. Because it was poignant shit. I'm just really blanking out on it.
Yeah. I mean, I really did like the fight.
Because I love how there's this really good moment at the end. Right at the end of the fight, I should say, not at the end of the comic. Because we're going to get to the ending of the comic, we're going to get to the ending of the comic eventually. But there's this part, right? Looking at it, like how he's just like... Oh, that's right, he's singing during the whole carnival thing. Right? Where he's like, oh, you don't gotta worry if you just go mad. You know? And, Red Hood shit. Oh yeah, I forget. The start of the fight does open with the repeat of the narration where it's like, hello.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about.
Yeah, hello, I came to talk about you, about me.
It made it, the repeating of, like, that conversation, it made it feel very action-y. I felt like it gave it a sense of intense, because how I, like, perceived it in my imagination was kind of like in, like, an action fight where it's, like, in, like, an action movie where it's, like, towards the end, and it is between, like, the big bad and the protagonist, and it's, like, the audio goes silent and it's the repeat of the beginning. Yeah, it's just the dialogue and, like, from the past. Like, that's how I interpreted it in my mind. It felt very satisfying and badass. And I have to say, that was probably my favorite point of the comic. Yeah. Because I feel like post this, the build-up kind of dies off.
Yeah,
I feel like that's where the only part where the build-up even paid off.
Yeah, I like how it's like, how he's like, while they're running through the funhouse and Batman's like, missing, like, literally missing traps and stuff. He's like, what is it with you anyways? Like, what happened to you, huh? He goes, you know, something happened to me one time, but, like, I don't remember for sure. Sometimes one way, sometimes the other, right? And this part right at the end where he's like, you know, he's talking about, like, oh, what triggered the last World War? He goes, it's all a joke. Everything anybody ever valued or struggled for, it's all some monstrous demented gag, so why can't you see the funny side? You know, like, why aren't you laughing? And then it cuts to Batman bursting through the mirror, right? And it feels like this like lack of an epiphany for Batman, or for Joker, of like, why aren't you laughing? Why can't you see the funny the way I do? Is Batman breaking through and being and basically like wordlessly being like, it's not a joke to me, you know? Like, I always give that vibe, and he's like, because he says, because I've heard it before and it wasn't funny the first time, because to him it's not a joke. The world is not a joke. Yeah. Right? So him breaking through it, I feel like, is subconsciously him, like, it's his rebuttal, right? Yeah. Because one thing I heard once, whenever it comes to fights, is that a good fight in a story it's not just a fight, it's a dialogue. Because it's motivation. So I feel like in this scenario, this, like, chase, this whole fight thing is a dialogue between who's correct, right? Yeah. With rebuttals and their own, like, ideas of evidence and shit, right? But I like how he's just like, it wasn't funny the first time, right? I think there's this. I love the part where he, like, kind of, like, pulls his mask down a little bit. Yeah. I think it's sick, and I think it's fully in character to just, like, you know, to get like a leg end, which is insane that they let Batman look stupid for 2 seconds in a Batman comic. Yeah. Because, so I do want to talk about this after we finish, but I feel like there's a big issue I have with Batman comics as a whole, is that they don't let him be dumb sometimes. Yeah. Like they don't let him be wrong every now and then. Yeah. You know? He's
the world's best detective, not a super genius. You know?
No, he's not. He's not. Because that's a lot of my issues with Batman comics as a whole, is that since Batman's, like, the big one for DC, he gets way too fucking, like... Yeah. He gets way too overblown, right? It's like in that movie Justice League Doom, where at the very end, Superman's talking to Batman. He's like, so, like, you have contingency plans for all of us. What was the contingency plan for you? And he goes, the Justice League. Go fuck yourself. That is dumb as fuck. Yeah. I prefer it because it doesn't. So my issue with stuff like that is that it's not motivated by character, right?
Yeah. I don't know. To me, Batman, I get it. He's supposed to be a detective. He's supposed to be thorough and decisive. But in my opinion, the Batman just always comes off as narcissistic
or paranoid.
Yeah, paranoid and narcissistic. Because it's like,
oh yeah, that's how the fight ends. Sorry, I'm looking at it again.
Like, I don't know. It's just like it's insane to me for the Batman to be like, I need a whole Justice League to defeat me while I have a contingency plan for each one of you. Like, as if, like,
because again, the contingency plan for Superman is to shoot him with a sniper rifle. Basically, yeah. With, like, a kryptonite bullet for a sniper rifle because it'll pierce his flesh faster.
Which is so stupid. Like, when you think about it, retroactively, we need to get back to the comic. But, like,
I know. We'll talk about Batman. And move. Exactly.
Like,
he's not stupid.
Yeah, it's fucking Superman. Like, oh, Batman needs a whole team of fucking heroes. One Superman can just blink and he's dead.
I know.
And, like, that goes with mostly everyone there.
Yeah, because I would argue that each DC hero, this is the last thing we're going to say before we start, because after the comic we'll talk more about Batman in general. Yeah. But I feel like each hero has weaknesses where you can pretty easily exploit them, right? Yeah. Batman has a weakness. Do you want to know what the weakness is?
What?
It's not that he's human. It's that he has a family.
Yeah.
Because, like, I saw a theory once that the contingency plan for Batman if he goes rogue is the Bat family, right?
Yeah.
So the ending. I like how he pulls the gun and it's empty.
Yeah, it's the bang flag.
I feel it kind of feels like to me like he didn't plan that.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that it ends in a conversation. I know it's kind of anticlimactic and the ending's weird, and we'll get to the actual ending for a minute. But I like how they're talking, and I'm gonna pull up the comic again so I don't look like a fucking dumbass. He's like, I shot a defenseless girl, terrorized an old man. Like, I like how he has that little moment of, like, clarity.
Yeah.
He's like, why don't you kick the hell out of me, you know? And fucking Batman's like, I'm doing this one by the book.
Yeah. He's like, I'm bringing you in.
Yeah, and he's like, you don't understand, because we get the answer to that question of how is this gonna end. It's because Batman's like, I don't want to hurt you.
Yeah.
I just want to help you. I just want you to get the help that you need, right? And he's like, we're both running out of like alternatives. Where did I put my drink? We're both running out of alternatives, right?
Yeah.
He's like, you know it, I know it, we know this is gonna happen, right? And he's like, does it have to end like that? Shit, I love being unprepared. Yeah, and he's like, oh, maybe tonight hinges on, maybe this was our last chance to sort things out, right? Before both of us die, basically, is what he says, right? And he's like, we can work together, right? He's like, this is, you know, because at the end of the day, and I really like this humanization of Batman, is that he doesn't see Joker as a lost cause.
Yeah.
Right? And he's like, you could be rehabilitated. We could do that. Why don't we do that? And Joker is like, you're reminding me of a joke.
Yeah.
I want to talk to you about the joke.
Yeah.
So the joke, I will say it, is, so basically there are these two lunatics in a mental asylum, and they try to escape, right?
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, well, they escape. They go from like, they're trying to jump from like
building to building. And
one of them jumps, and the other one's like, oh, I can't do it, I'll fall. And the one that already jumps goes, okay, I have my flashlight. I'll shine a beam, and you can walk over it.
Yeah.
And the joke is, the punchline is, are you crazy? You'll turn it off halfway through.
Yeah, not the idea that he can't walk on the beam because he doesn't trust him to keep him on there. Which I
was thinking about that, and it's obviously, so it's meant to be who's who in that scenario, because it's supposed to be, because the joke, it's layered, it's supposed to be about Batman and the Joker. I like to think that it can go either way.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I personally interpret it as the Joker being the one that won't cross the beam, because Batman, I think, because the whole idea is that they're both very traumatized characters.
Uh-huh.
It's just they leaned different ways on their trauma, with the Joker being like, oh, life's a big joke, blah, 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 gonna mass murder now. And then there's Batman that's like, my parents are dead, so now I'm a crime-fighting furry.
Yeah.
So I guess in an argumentative way, on a subjective lens, Batman's like the rehabilitated one, because
he's the one that's like, I will do what I can to help you.
Yeah, to help you.
And the Joker is the one that's like,
he's
I
also
can't trust
traumatized.
you.
Yeah.
See, I see it as it goes either way, because the Joker does not believe in Batman's rehabilitation methods. But at the same time, Batman does not decide to go down Joker's route, because if Joker is the one that shines the light, Batman's paranoia makes it so that he's afraid that even if it will make him feel better personally, that the light will be clicked off halfway through, right?
Yeah.
I find it really interesting because it's the idea that neither of them are willing to help each other in the way that would help one of them be better in the eyes of the other. Yeah. They are purely at a crossroads. I am about to fucking die of breath.
Yeah, no, I agree, because that's kind of like I think that's the thing I ultimately think makes this one shine differently, is that it's not a Joker that's an agent of chaos. It's a Joker who thinks his way of viewing the world is like correct. So the whole reason he does everything to Gordo is because he's trying to make Gordo understand his point of view.
Yeah,
but
this is a dialogue.
Yeah, and so it's like it's a clash of like two ideologies, basically.
Yeah,
like a best way of putting it.
Batman laughs.
Yeah, and then it ends with Batman laughing.
Which I find that insane. That's how they do it, is that, like, I feel like it's a good emphasis to the idea that they're both kind of crazy, right?
Yeah.
Because, Batman's crazy. Dude's traumatized as fuck, and instead of going to therapy...
He's a furry who fights crime.
Who fights crime. Right? So this is the part where I want to talk to you about the ending, where it is, he grabs him, and you're like, I don't think he kills him.
Yeah.
You said you thought he did.
Well, like, I like, it kind of feels like as if, like, because, like, that whole, like, laughing to the joke scenario, it kind of almost felt like it was Batman kind of accepting that the cycle is going to end with death.
Yeah,
it was kind of
I always felt it as it's a symbolic ending of the both of them because they both stopped laughing, the rain stopped seeing their reflections.
Yeah, because, like, the whole idea of, like, laughing is kind of, like, laughing is always metaphorically seen as a way of camaraderie. Like, friends laugh with each other.
Exactly.
People who are becoming friends laugh with each other.
Like, you and I have laughed while making this.
Yeah, and, like, they're not friends. They hate each other, and they're accepting that it's going to
end in death. Because one of them, in this crucial moment,
Yeah.
has dropped the facade and said, I don't want to hurt you. I care about you.
Yeah.
As awful as you are one of the most persistent people in my life, and I want you to get better. And the other one said, that reminds me of a joke.
He's just like me for real.
He's just like you for real. But, like, fuck you. Oh my god, we can't see that, but fucking...
My friend deeply tried to tell me I need therapy. I have a meme for this.
Yeah, no. The ending was really poignant. I also read this at like 3 a.m. because I couldn't go to sleep a couple nights ago. Which is very much me. Overall, I did really enjoy the story, and I really like that it's a focus on the relationship between Batman and the Joker. I wish more fucking Batman villains got this.
Yeah.
Because there are some Batman characters, in my opinion, that I feel like could use a Killing Joke style thing. Mr. Freeze is one of my favorite villains of all time. He's my favorite Batman villain, bar none.
Yeah. He has a roller coaster.
He does have a roller coaster in Six Flags,
Eureka,
Missouri, St. Louis.
Yeah.
Sorry, we stared at each other. I love that we're going to have to cut out a good amount of this. But I want to talk to you about Batman as a whole, because we did a lot of talking about Superman in the last one.
Yeah.
As a character as a whole. And I want to talk to you about Batman, because you and I, like I said, we're very much fans of Superman, right?
Yeah.
Because, again, I like Superman more. I like the hope and aspect of him, the hope and, like, conviction of Superman more than I do of Batman.
Yeah. See, and I had a massive point in my head when I was about to go, that because the reason I was like, oh, we need to get back onto being linear with the comic way at the beginning is because I had a point that I was going to make about Batman, like the whole Batman v Superman when it comes to like how they deal with the non-killing aspect.
Yeah.
I had it in my head, and now I'm trying to remember it specifically. Because I think ultimately what I was going to say is that, okay, so like Superman, even though he's like, you know, strongest man ever, powerhouse kind of figure, he ultimately is
he's the league muscle.
He is ultimately not in the position of power to change the lives of the people around him, right? You know what I mean? Because how I see it, right, is Superman, outside of being the Superman, is just farmer boy from Midwest who came to big city to try and be a journalist,
Look
right?
at that fucking smile.
Yeah, exactly. He's just...
I have a pair of Superman playing cards we used last night while we were drinking.
He's just an average man.
He's a man,
right?
He is a man who is no better or worse than anyone else in his small town.
Yeah, and Batman is playboy billionaire.
Because like I would argue that my whole thing is that my issue with a lot of times people being like, oh, but Batman's human, is that he's not.
Yeah, Batman is
human. He's human in an absolute sense, in the sense that human blood is pumping through his veins.
He is objectively human, but when it comes to the literary devices, he's one of the more colder.
Yeah, he's colder and distant compared to a character like Superman, who he is a working class character.
Bro flies, punches shit, and literally gets powered like a plant, and is more human than Batman.
Exactly, because a lot of the aspects that I enjoy of Superman is his humanity, his smile at others, and the fact that he will even treat his villains with respect.
Yeah,
you know,
and like
even when they need to be punched until their lights are out.
And this is the thing that I hate, like the implications of Batman, and I think this is why my problem with him as a character is that, like, I get it. They tried to make a superhero who's like this really good detective. He doesn't have powers. He was a traumatized child. So like it's like, how do we give a traumatized child the ability to morph himself into something more without giving him superpowers? It would for him to be a rich man that can make tech, right?
See, because I
like,
think
the implications of that is awful.
Yeah.
Because like the thing is that you have to get to a point, right? Is that Superman is Superman without his villains. But Batman is not the Batman without villains.
he is a menace if he doesn't have supervillains.
Yeah, and like there's just like this implication because ultimately Bruce Wayne has the money and the power to be changing the state of Gotham to where he doesn't need to have villains. He could just better Gotham.
Because that's actually
Superman
one of my
can't
favorite
better
takes that they
Metropolis.
do in the comics sometimes, where Batman will often use Bruce Wayne as the one to be like, let's fund homeless shelters, let's improve the mental state of patients, right? But like with Superman's thing is that he inspires others to be better.
Yeah.
Batman is a character who strives for justice, right? The idea of character of people that need justice in their lives, Batman is the one to be the one to crusade for that justice. He's the Cape Crusader, right? And that's awesome. I love that we have a character who's like, I will do right by you.
Yeah.
Right? But Superman, for me personally, is the character to be like, I will do right by you, and I will lead by example.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's like, I don't know, because like my whole thing is like, I feel like just the Batman as a character falls through when there is no villains.
Exactly.
Like, Superman's going to be there to catch the cat.
Because again, the best part about Superman's stories is his ability is the tension of him saving others. Whereas Batman, in my opinion, good Batman stories tend to hinge on the villain.
Exactly. Well, because it's like, I don't know, I'm trying to say this without getting like too like political analysis of Gotham,
And
you know what I mean?
anti-Batman, because we're not anti-Batman.
Yeah, because I'm ultimately not anti-Batman, and I'm not going to try and sit here and talk about like the geopolitical structure of Gotham
City that can be fixed by him as a billionaire using his money. It's a whole thing,
and the whole idea that like he's using it as a cycle and blah blah blah. You know, we all saw the Blue Beetle trailer where George Lopez called him a fascist.
Like, and like, do I want to say that Batman's a fascist? To a certain extent,
yes.
Yes, he is. But also to another extent, no.
Yeah. Well, because like ultimately Bruce Wayne and the Batman are caring characters, right? Like they ultimately do care about what's going on. It's just it's like I don't know. It's just like the idea because it's like when Superman fights certain villains.
When he fights, say, Brainiac.
Yeah. Like you know he. Like, let's do General Zod.
Okay, yeah, we'll do General Zod.
Like, when he fights General Zod, he puts man into the fucking... What is it called?
Phantom Zone.
Phantom Zone. He puts man into the Phantom Zone, and obviously I know there's stories where, like, General Zod comes back and people come back from the Phantom Zone.
Yeah.
But it's like, we ultimately have this better idea where it's like, it's not Arkham Asylum, where it's broken out every, like, 2 freaking weeks, and it isn't this, like, vicious cycle. Superman doesn't have cycles. And I think it's mostly... I understand why Batman is a very big thing about cycles, since Batman's always been about like the mental health scene, and mental health is always about
even though
cycles.
Historically they have handled the character's mental health and the mental health of his villains.
I would argue Batman is like, even though it is super like Batman's villains are what make it iconic because they lean on villains, they are some of the most awful portrayals of like
mental health.
Well, the mental health, and they're also super queer coded. Because, like, whenever you have, like, because, like, you have, like, the moments at, like, Met Gala where celebrities will dress up in very...
Like the fucking
queer...
Riddler. Yeah, they'll dress up like the Riddler in the 60s.
Well, no, because you'll have, like, Lil Nas X or Billie Eilish dressed up, like, in queer culture clothes, and they're like, oh my god, Billie looks so much like a Batman villain, and it's like, no.
I wonder
she doesn't
why.
Look... Yeah, well, like, I wonder why. It's not that she looks like a Batman villain, it's because if you look queer, you're a Batman villain.
It's just that, it's like Batman has had a history of his characters being coded in queer stereotypes,
which is like really harmful since they're all mentally ill.
Yeah, it's actually very harmful. Batman, I feel like you're right, because I'm obviously going to compare it to Superman because Superman's my favorite. This is the first time that we've recorded so far that I haven't been wearing a Superman shirt.
Yeah, because like, okay, to give, I feel like I have to compliment Batman.
Yeah,
because
like, I will say this before you go on ahead
pros.
and like the pros for Batman, because there are pros for Batman. Is that Superman is a more philosophical character. The idea of unending altruism versus pessimism, right?
Yeah.
Batman is a character who I feel like is a little bit more realism. Maybe realism is not what I want to say. He's a lot more of a real character in the sense that it's a lot more, the philosophical argument is not as important as the reality of the situation.
Yeah, because Batman's always been like the dark, grimy character, and a lot of people have always liked that because the world is unkind, right? Like IRL, there is no Superman. And
no.
Like,
I'm currently not absorbing sunlight, so like I'm not Superman.
And obviously there is no the Batman, but like people live in worlds like Gotham.
Yeah.
No one lives in a metropolis.
No one lives in a metropolis where things are flawed, but ultimately like, good.
Ultimately good because you have this like all protector. Because like I get it that Batman is kind of like, again, not trying to get geopolitical with it, but like is kind of propaganda.
Yeah.
He ultimately is supposed to be like. And that's what I kind of like about this one, where the cops have to like come in to like stop Batman
from
with
doing something awful.
Yeah, because it's like I like it in that way, and Spider-Man does it sometimes too, where it's like, is there a bit of propaganda? Sure, but ultimately he's like the one above the cops because they can't do it, kind of deal. So like, okay, for my pro with Batman, right? Because since I want to say nice stuff. The detective stuff, like material on Batman, is phenomenal. 9 times out of 10.
Yeah.
Like as I said, like the Batman movie was probably one of my favorites.
It's probably my favorite Batman.
When it comes to the current era of DCU, like if we're obviously these movies aren't in DCU, but I'm just talking about DC movies since like the 2000s with Snyder.
Yeah.
The Christopher Nolan Batmans with like. You know, The Dark Knight and all that. Even though I know earlier I was criticizing Heath Ledger's Joker, I'm just criticizing the rightness of the character. Those movies are still really good movies when I think about like the grand scheme of like superhero movies. And when it comes to DCU movies, I can't think of a Zack Snyder film I would put up with it.
Yeah.
Like they were good movies. Christopher Nolan is a really good director. I think those movies. Okay. Not to like go on a side tangent, but just like how I just shit talk Snyder, a lot of those movies are filled with nostalgia because they were the first of their kind.
Yes.
The only reason we have a Christopher Nolan like edgy, grimy Batman with the trilogy is because The Watchmen let it run.
Yes.
Because The Watchmen was the first. It wasn't even like originally commercially that successful because people were not expecting a dark, grimy superhero movie. Because that just hadn't really been done before.
That's not the image of superheroes.
Yeah. And so like that's why it was like successful. And I don't think you need to have like a campy good time with a superhero film.
It can be a nice, because again, the Batman, despite being that like gritty kind of like crime, was still full of brimming with like life to it.
Yeah, because like ultimately, I think you need to realize what you are doing with the characters that you are using. Are you making it dark and grimy for like literally no fucking reason,
or is it motivated by character and story? And I feel like one of the pros I have for Batman is that he could be a good like onus on the philosophical idea of crime and punishment, right?
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, that's my phone going off. At the end of the day, Batman can be a really useful character to interrogate the idea of what sensible crime and punishment is and the nature of protectors in the world, right? Because Batman he's kind of the super cop. That's basically what he is. He's a super cop, right? But like the best aspects of Batman is whenever he's working a case, right? Which is why I liked the parts of this where Batman was being a detective.
Yeah.
To run it back into the comic. But like Batman's a really interesting character that can be used for the ideas of like psychology and philosophy involving both the mind and the sociological effects of crime.
He as a character is the best for criminology.
Exactly. You can do a lot with this character. I think my issue with him in modern comics is that they want to treat him like he's perfect.
They want to treat him like he's perfect because he's a fan favorite. And ultimately, like I said earlier, I think Batman really shines when he's in his own little Batverse. I don't think he fits well with all the other heroes. Like, I'm like the Justice League, a lot of those characters, I
love him whenever he does stuff with Superman. I love it whenever he gets to work with Wonder Woman and the rest of them. But
yeah, well, the thing is like, I get, like, Superman, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, all of them working together. It's just like, Batman, like, the only reason people have this idea that Batman equates to anyone in the Justice League is because DC allows it to be... Because here's the thing. The way DC and the fan base has rised up Batman is that Batman does have a superpower, and it's called prep time.
It's called prep time and money.
Yeah, money, which is the stupidest shit ever. I hate the whole argument of, well, if you give Batman 20 years, like, shut up.
But, like, that's stupid, right?
Yeah,
I always preferred it when Batman, an ideal fight with Batman is where he has to make a plan on the fly. Yeah. Because it's stupid, the idea of prep time.
Yeah, it's stupid the idea
what you should do whenever you're writing a Batman fight is that you should fuck prep time. Prep time is stupid. It's stupid. It deflates all tension. It's very much a Death Note. I foresaw that you were gonna do this, so I did this. But I can tell you're foreseeing that I'm gonna. It's stupid bullshit. But like what I think that people should do is they should focus more on Batman's ability to adapt.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like,
because a truly intelligent character, sorry to interrupt you, a truly intelligent character can adapt on the fly instead of sticking to a plan.
Yeah, because, like, I get the whole idea with, like, the whole Batman contingencies with the Justice League. I get the idea that he's the protector, so, like, if anything goes wrong, he needs a way to protect from the people that should be the protectors. But, like, at the end of the day, he's just a paranoid man that people think can defeat anyone because of prep time, which is insane. Money cannot invent random shit, no matter how much DC wants to push it.
Yeah.
And, like, a lot of the times, what ends up defeating the characters is just... It just doesn't make sense. Like, the whole, like, sniping Superman with a kryptonite bullet makes no sense. He has super hearing and super speed. I'm pretty sure it's canonical that he definitely moves faster than a bullet.
So, like, in Justice League Doom, the way they do it is, which I really like, is that they actually prey on his sympathy, right?
Yeah.
In the movie Justice League Doom, it's a guy is about to jump off of the Daily Planet building and kill himself, and what it is that it's a long scene cut with other characters' scenes of him being like, you don't want to do that. You still have life to live for. They prey on his humanity. Because I would argue that is entirely within character. Just shooting him with a bullet, dumb.
Yeah.
Preying on his need to help others.
Yeah.
To care for his fellow man. That's how you do it, right? Batman, and it also sounds like something Batman would do. Yeah. I think what it is, one of my other issues with Batman in the wider DC universe, is that they prey upon they treat his paranoia like a strength.
Yeah,
I would love a Batman comic where him being fucking hyper paranoid blew up in his face.
Yeah, no, same. I guess, like, because, like, ultimately, I guess, like, because I hate giving anything praise, I guess, like, ultimately that's kind of what happened in, like, Superman v Batman or Batman v Superman. Because it ends with his paranoia and the differences going so bad that the Justice League lacks a Superman until the Justice League.
Yeah, but my problem is that inherent movie, the issue with it is that his paranoia pays off by complete accident in the end with the Kryptonite Spear. Batman is a good character. It's just, he's not a character for me.
Yeah.
I think is what I'm going to say as my closing little statement about this long segment about Batman as a whole, is that Batman to me is a good character. I know that he's a good character, but he's not a character that I think works for me.
Batman is a character that's good that I feel like people just like for the wrong reasons. Not to like talk
Go
about
too
something
hard.
else.
Yeah.
Or to, like, detrain. But it's kind of like what we talked about with Alan Moore and the idea with Rorschach. I'm not saying you can't look up to Batman, and because obviously looking up to Rorschach is just morally incorrect.
Yes.
But the issue is
yeah, hey, newsflash, guys, if you think you're fucking Rorschach, unsubscribe.
Yeah.
Please.
It's the whole Sigma male affirmation idea.
Yeah.
Because it's like, the idea is that people are looking to Batman for, like, the wrong reasons. It's, like, Batman isn't there to be like, oh, this cool, edgy, look how dark and mysterious
Because nobody comes to a Batman story because he's human.
Yeah, no one comes to a Batman story because, like, okay, like, it's like, who cares that he knows, like, every form of martial arts?
That's cool.
Fucking, yeah, like, this is not, like, I get it. He's strong, he fights, and defeats demented clowns. Like, the whole thing is that he's a detective. He is trying to stop the people who have gone off the deep end from harming society.
Yeah.
So it's just like, why do we care about, like, you know, it's just that aspect. It's like, you're idolizing him from the wrong reasons.
Yes.
Because it's like, it's the reason I have a problem with Zack Snyder. He likes the characters. He doesn't know why
he likes the characters. He enjoys Superman doing a fight, but he doesn't know why that's a good story.
And that's pretty much the entire Batman, Gotham, Joker, whatever you want to call it, fan base. Is that they like Batman. They cannot tell you why they like Batman.
They like Batman because he beats people up cool, and that theoretically...
Yeah,
you could learn it.
Every time I talk to a Batman, like, because I get it, he is, like, I guess, like, the most relatable to someone because he doesn't have superhero. Because just like powers. Cause
he's relatable. He's relatable purely in the physical sense.
Yeah, because like in theory you can learn it, even though it's physically impossible for everyone to know every form of martial arts. Because like that's just takes more than a lifetime of learning.
Yeah,
but like it's just like. No, like I would argue, like we talked about before, Batman's nowhere near as relatable as the ones that literally have superpowers.
Yeah, because you know what's insane is that other heroes, you've got characters like the Flash, who shows in comics and in shows an unending compassion for his villains, right?
Yeah,
an unending. He's always the one to be like, I took you seriously whenever you said that you were done with crime. You know, you disappointed me. Yeah. Superman's the kind of person to be like, you're a piece of shit, but that does not mean that your life is not worth saving.
Yeah.
The Wonder Woman is the kind of person to be like,
I'm a woman.
Wonder Woman is the kind of person to be like, I don't want to fight you.
Yeah.
You know? I don't like the fight that we have to fight.
Yeah.
I can beat you. I will beat you. I don't like the fact that we have to fight. Yeah. You know? Like, it's very much Batman is the one who I feel like is a lot more willing to answer problems with his fists compared to characters with full-on superpowers.
I don't know. Ultimately, I think Batman as a media would be fixed because, like, okay, obviously, people have to cater to what fans want, right? It's what makes people money. Mm-hmm. But ultimately, like, what would fix Batman as a media is if the fan base realized that, like, why they like Superman is superficial and it's not what makes the literature
why they
better.
Like Batman.
Yeah, because ultimately that's why we have the scenario of DC making Batman seem like this almighty god while having no power, and prep times the ultimate
superpower. Because they're trying to.
Because if they didn't do that, Batman, every Batman fan would go insane.
Yeah.
Because they'll be like, I don't get it. Why does my favorite superhero not win? Because he's so awesome and cool. The dude that dresses like a bat in black should win.
Yeah, I think my ideal Batman story is where they focus on physically whenever it comes to combat and stuff. They focus on his physical traits. Yeah. Like, he's a dude. He can break his legs. He can shatter his bones. Yeah. That's what I liked about the Batman is when he's doing his little glide and it's cool for all about 30 seconds till he hits his head on a fucking overpass.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And that's another thing about the Batman, which I think I talked about in Denver when I watched it, is I don't know if you paid attention to the choreography of the fight scenes in the Batman, but every time you've, let's talk about, the Arkham Knight games, let's talk about, any other Batman material, whenever he's fighting goons, which, I understand why he's, it's like this, he knows every form of martial arts. It's canonical.
Yeah.
So, in theory, he's, the best hand fighter.
We're gonna fucking have to rewatch the Batman after this, aren't we?
Yes. But the thing is, every time you watch Batman material, in cinema or in video games, he's pretty much this invincible fighter where he dodges every punch, he lands every hit, he does all these magnificent punches, which that's the same in almost every action movie as well. Batman, since Batman is the action movie, but in the Batman, he takes punches, he gets hit.
Doesn't he take a shotgun shell at one point?
Yeah, he doesn't seem like this invincible fighting god. And that's like it isn't like Arkham Asylum where I pressed circle when I saw the thing and I dodged no matter what they did. It's he gets hit. It's what makes it seem more human, and I like that fighting a lot more. And I think that's another thing that made that movie so well.
I think if I'm gonna ultimately symptomize what I think would help Batman comics is to add more humanity to the character.
Yeah, and I feel like
there are some fantastic comics to tie it back in. Get back the fuck over here.
I'm sorry, I'm standing.
Yeah, you're standing in a weird spot.
You're a liberal.
I feel like the injection of humanity into the character adds so much in The Killing Joke that makes him genuinely, this is a Batman I like, because he's human. To tie it back in before we finish the episode, I really like that in The Killing Joke, Batman is humanized the Batman is humanized in this without needing to rely on Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
This is purely the Batman humanization. This is purely Batman getting angry because his friend and colleague is kidnapped because one of his students was crippled because this man that he has spent years fighting will not listen. The humanization of Batman, I think, is the best thing you can do. At the end of the day, if you want to make your Batman stories good, Batman needs to feel like what everybody says they like him for. He needs to feel human.
Yeah. I keep ending up going back whenever I praise to the Batman film, but it's arguably the best piece of Batman cinema to date.
I would argue it is. We'll have to do that for an episode sometime.
It's like something's in the way. He seems real. You see the struggle about him. He has his weaknesses. Like a lot of the terrible shit that's happening in the film isn't even due to the Riddler. Like, it's about him trying to find his way while figuring out the Riddler's puzzle. And he is, like, the world's best detective, but he doesn't figure it out immediately. He goes through our struggles. He's going through his past struggles. He's helping Selina because he's a caring person. You have moments, like I said, with the choreography with the fights where it seems real. Because ultimately, like...
The best part of Batman, I don't disagree with the people who say that they like Batman because he doesn't have superpowers. Because in my opinion, the best part of Batman is that he can get hurt. Is that he doesn't have sunlight to rejuvenate. He doesn't have a fast metabolism. He isn't immune to most surface weapons.
Here's my thing: like in most media, like I said, Batman's this like untouchable, invincible fighting god. If that was the case, why is there goons? Why is there even villains? Because if I was one Cobblepot...
One Oswald Cobblepot.
If I was one Oswald Cobblepot...
If I was a certain northern bird...
Yeah, would there be a person in Gotham that I can hire...
That would not really be thinks, you're on the shit list of the Bat.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, exactly. Because, I get it. Goons are scared of the Bat because he is what is. But goons should be scared of the Bat because it's what he represents and that he's scareful. He should be someone who has to use stealth and strategize. Not because he can defeat 12 motherfuckers at once.
With guns.
Yeah.
Just that he can.
Yeah. That is insane to me. That should be why. Because at that point, no goon will want to get hired because they know they're just going to wake up in a hospital the next day. Because Batman just makes it seem like unless you are a Batman villain, he's untouchable, which should not be the case. He is supposed to be the person in the shadow. And that's what I liked about that movie, is that he had to use stealth to his advantage. He had to do this. And when he did finally get into combat, it was between maybe one or two other people, and he took the hits.
Almost floored him.
Yeah, he almost floored him. And that's why, Cobblepot doesn't get scared of the Bat until there's that chase scene.
Yeah, whenever he makes himself scary.
Yeah, because the idea is that he's forcing the scare. The idea is that he's
I love that we
scaring
spent
crime.
an hour talking about the comic and then 40 minutes or 30 minutes talking about Batman as a character. Which, honestly, I'm fine with this. We had the dialogue about
because
Superman.
I just want, a renaissance of Batman. Because I like the character.
I want that's why I really want to read the Rebirth run by Tom King, because I've been told that it's really good.
That's why I'm hoping that since the Batman did really well, that we're either going to see a line of that movie, like the director, because I know they're making a sequel, making equally as good cinema, or whenever with this new James Gunn DCU, maybe they'll take some credit from that Batman, or even make him the Batman for the DCU.
Which I'm not necessarily
against of.
I think Robert Pattinson has always been a good actor.
Yeah, he's a fantastic Batman.
And he does a great job.
So it's like, I don't know. I just want to see a renaissance of like Batman getting good to why he was good, and not I tattooed Joker on my thigh because I punch my walls and gaslight my girlfriend.
Okay, we're gonna tie this back into Killing Joke. Yeah, no, but like I said, the best part I thought that was great about this. I'm not cutting out this whole fucking rant, by the way. This is good. This is basically the Killing Joke episode plus notes on Batman, which I actually might end up naming that the episode.
Something in the way.
Again, one of my favorite aspects about Batman in this story, in the Killing Joke, is that they humanize him.
Yeah.
The best thing you can do for Batman is humanize him. So I want to ask you, overall, ending thoughts on the Killing Joke.
My ending thought is I really do like it as like a kind of a one-shot comic. Mm-hmm. I think it ended off on a very like strong note about the relationship between Batman and the Joker, because it clearly reverberates within the Batman media coming forward. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, overall like
we're not reading another Batman comic for a while. Yeah,
I'm like overall I had like a minimal, like not minimal, but like a medium amount of enjoyment of it. Mm-hmm. My thoughts are still the same at the beginning about the whole fact that I feel like there was way more build-up than there was payoff. Which ultimately isn't like the worst.
It could be worse.
Like the thing is like there's the highlights were not high enough,
and the
low lights were too low.
Yeah,
and that's the best way I would describe it. Like it's definitely like if you want to get into Batman media, this is definitely something you should read.
I would argue that as many issues as we do have with this comic, it is essential reading.
Yeah, if you want to be Batman, this is essential Batman reading.
If you want to be Batman.
if you want to be the Bat.
That's my favorite part of the Batman is the flashback to Robert Pattinson reading The Killing Joke.
Yeah, and he said, "I'm literally him."
and then he was.
But like, yeah, no, because it's like, I don't know, it focuses on him being the Batman. It's not Bruce Wayne. The only time Bruce is ever named is with fucking Barbara. But I think that was more as a callback to show that in this one shot they're working together.
They at least were at one point.
Yeah,
like she was Batgirl, if not still is Batgirl.
Because like in the continuity,
well, she ain't Batgirl anymore. Yeah. But
well, because like in the continuity, Barbara is Batgirl, but since it's a one-off, they had to show a way that they at least were at one point. She either was the Batgirl or working for the Batman by knowing Bruce's name. Mm-hmm. So because like that's the only time the word Bruce comes up is
in the
whenever
entire
in the hospital.
Comic, because this doesn't have a flashback to dead parents.
Yeah.
Which I think would have actually made the story worse. But
the Batgirl. I love putting the in front of Batman.
It's because of the Batman. But like, honestly, I do recommend this story. I do hesitantly agree this. If you already are a Batman fan, you should read this. If you're not a Batman fan but you wanna learn some good Batman stories, I do recommend this.
If you want to like, if you're a Batman fan, you need to read this one. If you want a good Batman media, watch The Batman 2022.
Watch The Batman.
That's definitely not the year that... Did it come out in 2022? I thought it was 2021.
It came out in 2022.
Yeah. Whatever year.
I remember because Discussing Film
on
Discussing Film on Twitter was like, it's 1 year old, and people were memeing like, that was like, at Discussing Film like a year ago, making this post and putting it in the drafts.
Real.
Yeah. Something is in the way.
Something literally is in the way.
So, I hope you guys really enjoyed that episode. Our plan for next episode is we're going to do something Marvel related. We're thinking Moon Knight. We're still working it out. We're not going to, like, promise anything just in case we decide to change our minds and read something else.
Yeah.
But we are wanting to do some Marvel stuff probably for the next few episodes.
Yeah.
So we can get some, non-DC stuff, because we're not a DC podcast. Like, I don't want it to be just DC.
Yeah.
I do say that we do have some stuff down the pipeline that we do want to do. We want to do some stuff talking about Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale's work together. I do want to talk about DC Earth 1, because I feel like you're going to like that. Some other stuff too. Like I said, we're probably not going to be doing Batman again for a while. Eventually we'll try to read Batman Year 1.
I say if we do Batman anytime soon, it's because me and Trent randomly decided to watch The Batman again, and we're gonna make an episode on The Batman.
Yeah. But yeah, no, look forward to that. We hope you guys really enjoyed this. A+ on your little book report here.
Yeah, I know I'm a little sexy.
You what?
Huh?
What?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, this reminds me of a joke.
Yeah, this reminds me of a joke. So,
This is not going to end well.
two patients.
Fuck, cut this out. Fuck, no, cut this out. We hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Remember to read your fucking comics.
Hey, all I'm saying is right now I'm 2-0 reading before you.
Yeah, I know. The next one I fully intend on reading before you.
Supposedly.
Yes. Bye-bye.